Hey, this is Lydia Cornell from Too Close for Comfort and Curb Your Enthusiasm and Full House, Knight Rider 18, Dukes of Hazzard, hundreds of other shows. And I want you to join 30 Minutes Live with CDP every Wednesday and Friday night on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm going to be on the show soon too. Love, Chris.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank my friend Lydia Cornell for that nice little shout out to 30 Minutes Live with CDP. Anyways, guys, thank you all for coming on tonight. My special guest is Jay Hewlett, stand-up comedian from the LA area. He's also a producer and an actor as well. And I believe one of the TV shows he was in as a teacher was Saved by the Bell. So just give me a second, guys, and I will have Jay on here in 1 second. I'm a one-man production crew here, so just bear with me, guys, and we'll have Jay on. This is Jay right here. It looks like he's doing some producing work here, but anyways, I'm looking forward to speaking with Jay. And like I said, 1 second, and we're going to bring him on now. Hey, Jay, how you doing?
CDP!
That's me, CDP, the one and only.
You old promenade, you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
My pleasure. Fear the beard.
Thank you. Sometimes I like to shave and sometimes I like to grow my beard.
I love your accent, man. The Canadian accent.
Hey, yes. But then I got Canadians telling me I sound like an American. So Americans tell me I sound like Canadian, but then Canadians are telling me I sound like American.
You're Canadian bacon all the way, brother. All the way.
Okay. Anyways.
You know what I like about Canadians?
What?
They can drink Americans under the table, brother.
Oh, it's true. Beer. We were born with beer.
Oh, I Canadians in the Cayman. I'm telling because Americans are we're up too uptight, especially now. I mean, it's like the wussification of America, Chris. We don't party like we used to, man. You know, like when I was in college, remember being so drunk? You'd wake up the next morning in your truck.
And you don't remember.
I don't own a truck. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Remember being so drunk? I'd be so drunk at a party, I'd do a Jello shooter. And then I'd realize that was a goddamn candle.
Those were the years, eh? Those were the years.
I'd be shitting wax, but I'd be so drunk, I'd go through the drive-thru, pay for my food at the first window, Chris, and then I'd drive past the second one without picking it up. Thanks for the food. See you next week. Why is there a candle in my ass? You know, have you ever been so drunk like you had to fake the orgasm? And then you realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm by myself? Come on now. I was so drunk at a casino, Chris. I thought I was kicking ass at the slot machine. And then I realized I was putting dollars in the bill changer, brother. and I'm not saying be stupid about it, just, you know, because there's too many options. There's Uber, there's Lyft, there's carjacking, for God's sake. You don't need to drink and drive, but you can have fun still, right?
Definitely.
That's what Canadians do. They have fun.
Well, we used to, but now we're in our third lockdown here. So it's like, go to work, stay home. Third lockdown.
The third lockdown. Yeah, I'd meet Canadians in Florida and when I perform in the Cayman Islands, Canadians were in the Caymans thawing their balls out. I mean, it was just cold, so then they'd go to the island and they'd be warming out. And they were fun, man. Fun people.
Well, like I said, it just hasn't been fun the last year or so. It's basically go to work and come home, and that's it, and take out food, and that's about it.
Well, we gotta quit that, man. We gotta everybody get vaccinated. We gotta get the F back in fun.
Oh, definitely. It's been lost for the last 14 months.
Too much FU in the F. We need fun in the F.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That used to be my middle name, Fun, but lately it hasn't been fun.
Your middle name is Fun. Yeah, mine big, Chris. I'm this COVID thing, I've been putting on weight, brother. I mean, I don't. Oh man, I don't. I get on an elevator now. It has to go down. I'm talking. I put on some serious. I go to the comedy club. My belly button gets there 15 minutes before I do. You put on a yellow raincoat the other day. I went outside. Someone yelled taxi. I'm getting fat, man.
Well, I lost my weight and then I put it back on again because, like you said, with being stuck at home, all you want to do is eat. It's like eat and drink, basically.
That's all I ever want to do. But yeah, and it's getting to be bikini season out here in California. I gotta kind of cut back, brother.
Well, actually, it's probably warmer here today than actually in California. It was 76 degrees today here in April, which is unheard of for April. Usually we get 40s and 50s and cold and rain and snow, but today was like 76. I'm wearing shorts in April, which is unheard of here.
63 degrees in Redondo Beach.
Wow, so it's warmer here than wow.
Yeah, well, it's just the nature of the beast right now.
Oh, this whole global warming.
Upside down, man.
Definitely.
It's upside down. Now, let me ask you, do you actually do comedy? Are you an actual, do you do stand-up too?
No, but I do at work sometimes because where I work is I won't say the name of the company or any of that, but where I work is an interesting place to work, and I try to be funny, and sometimes I try, but I'm not a professional like you, obviously.
I don't know if I'm a professional. I just things happen to me, man. Just shit happens to me.
I think they'll happen to all of us.
Yeah, all the time. It just shit happens to me. I don't know why. I just kind of go about my business and things happen.
Yeah, I find you got to be funny nowadays because if you don't, you're going to go crazy or insane because of all the crap going on. So I just think comedy is great. Humor.
Yeah, like I said, I look at comedy as a way to grow. Be a better communicator. I went to truck driving school and I learned communication from truck drivers. So, those guys are the best communicators on the planet. That's my thing is just being a good communicator. These guys, truckers, even have signs on their trucks telling you why they drive the way they do. You've seen those, haven't you, Chris?
Some of them, yes. Some of them, yeah. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job.
No, it's just, I drive with my lights on for your safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's good communication, right? And if you can't see my mirrors, I can't see you.
I see that all the time.
That's goddamn Shakespeare on wheels, Chris. You can learn from these guys.
Oh yeah, but our driving here is probably just as bad as California. I've never been to California, but our driving on the 401, that's our major highway here, and it's like a race car track.
Yeah,
and aggressive driving is the norm.
Yeah, you got to learn to communicate, man. I even put signs on my car. I put signs on my car now too, like truckers. I drive with my brights on because I'm an asshole. If you can see my middle finger in your mirror, means you're an asshole.
Yeah. Hey, I have allergies, so don't. Everybody, when you wipe your nose now with the Kleenex, they think, "Oh my God, COVID," and I'm like, "Relax, folks. I have seasonal allergies, and it's now everybody's so paranoid."
Yeah, yep. People are paranoid, especially driving. I have a bumper sticker on the back of my car. It says, "Honk if you love Jesus," because you're gonna need him if you cut my ass off again. And people get all paranoid about that. But what are you gonna do?
But I was gonna say I really appreciate you coming on, Jay. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I was gonna ask you how's everything with your one eye that you had surgery on.
Yeah, it's interesting because I got for those your viewers. I got the can you see that? Yeah, I got one eye, the cataract removed, and then the lens replaced, and then the other eye has glass in it, and it's amazing. This eye now, the eye that was operated on is it's so clear, and the other eye I'm waiting to do at the end of the month. It's got this little cloud over it, but it's healing, and it's just a time process. It's not painful per se. A lot of anxiety and stress. Of course, you wear glasses, so you know what I'm talking about. But
yes.
My vision was getting so bad, there was no choice. I had to do it. It's not a vanity thing. I had to get rid of the cataract. So when they do that, they take the lens out, put a new lens. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff.
I was going to ask you, how long was the surgery? Do you remember?
The process takes forever to get you ready and all that stuff. But first off, they put you under a laser to crack the cataract. And I don't think that takes that. I mean, all told, under that laser is probably maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then I think the actual lens implant thing, probably I'm out. I was out, but I would say 30 minutes. So maybe a total of an hour to do everything.
Wow. It's just amazing nowadays what these medical people can do.
Yeah. I'm always hopeful they can do things for ears and things, like many of us in our young days have been listening to loud music and all that, but we pay the price.
Oh, it catches up. It catches up to us.
That's for sure, man. When I was growing up, there was, now that those kids got iPods and iPads and earplugs and earbuds and all sorts of stuff, man. I was growing up, we didn't even have bottled water.
No, we didn't. We sometimes drank from the tap, actual tap, or outside.
We had a goddamn hose. That was it, man.
Yeah, or from a hose. Yeah, I did that too.
And kids now too, it's like if you get in trouble, parents put kids in timeout. There was no timeout when I was growing up, unless you count when someone took time out to beat your ass, right? That was it.
Oh yeah. Or we had the strap in school when I was younger. There was a strap. If you misbehave, it was like, well, you don't want the strap, and it was different time back in the 70s and 80s.
That was the international ass beating signal. You take that belt off, right? And your dad would look at you and go, "This is gonna hurt me more than it is you."
Yeah.
And
totally different now.
Even in your little 7-year-old mind, you're thinking, bullshit. Let's trade places, but you have to say that to yourself, or it makes the ass beating worse, right?
Definitely. I was gonna ask you, Jay. Are you okay for maybe 40 minutes, or how are you for time tonight?
40 minutes is good.
Okay. I always like to ask my guests, because every guest is, some want to talk for half an hour, some 20 minutes, some for an hour and a half. So I always let the guests decide.
No. Yeah, it's what time is it in your neck of the woods?
It's 10 after 7, and it stays late here until about 8:20 now.
Yeah, so you're like the East Coast for us.
Yeah, I'm the East Coast guy, and you're the West Coast guy.
That's right. So it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Right now I'm just doing a little caffeine. That's it. Later on I'll bump it up a notch.
Starbucks?
Yeah, I actually I go for their. I used to like their. They have what they call skinny mochas or skinny lattes, and now, so I just got used to going there. But I kind of prefer the coffee bean out here. I don't know if you have them out in your neck of the woods.
Starbucks, Starbucks is popular here. They're like competing with Tim Hortons, which is a major chain over here.
Yeah, we have coffee beans. Coffee beans are, it's a better brand of coffee. The coffee beans have, they invented what Starbucks calls the Frappuccino. The coffee bean calls the Ice Blended. And man, that is, so good. It's so much better than the Starbucks thing. But what are you going to do? There's convenience, and then there's convenience. I make a lot of my own. I've got to watch the amount of caffeine I drink, though. I can only have copious, like just a little bit.
Yeah, same here, because if I have too much of it, like I don't drink pop anymore. That's what we call it here. You guys call it soda. I don't drink pop anymore, but if I have any kind of caffeine at all, I end up getting these wicked headaches. So I have to limit myself to, if I have a little bit, that's it.
Yeah, that's what I do. And I never get a full blown, usually like in the morning, I'll actually do a decaf, because there's a little caffeine in there for that too. But even that stuff's come a long way. Whoever thought about a half cap? Now you've got potato chips that are baked, so they're half the calories. They're trans fat free, carb free, gluten free. They're organic. They're taste free. Tastes like wood chips. But the chemical I found out, Chris, that makes them all those wonderful things is called olestra. But olestra unfortunately has a little side effect. It's like caffeine gives you a headache. Olestra. Yeah, anal leakage, not fun.
Ooh, okay, good to know.
But you never see that warning on the back of the chips. It's like consumption of these chips may cause you to shit your pants. You don't see that. You never see. You might not want to go bowling if you eat these chips. You don't see that, But that's then and now. I'm drinking a half cap coffee.
Yeah. The only thing I like from Starbucks is their vanilla bean frappuccino.
Ooh, there you go.
It's not the healthiest drink, and they put whipped cream on it and stuff, but it tastes so good.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I gotta have one. I before I was having one every day, but now I limit myself to maybe one a week or one every 2 weeks because, like I said, they got a lot of calories in them and sugar in it, and
Yeah, that's why I asked them to do. I do half the caffeine and half the chocolate and half
yep,
everything.
yep.
I don't want to. Yeah, I'm just like I said. I'm gonna outgrow my pants, man. I can't outgrow my pants.
The thing is, I can lose weight, but then the hard part is keeping it off. Then it comes back. Weight is like, okay, you can lose 20 pounds, but then within a couple months you put it back on. It's for me, it's hard to keep it off.
All right, I know. I tried this weight loss medicine, this stuff called Ally, and boy, don't go there. Ally tells you on the back of that package, they say, hey, if you take this medicine, you might want to bring an extra pair of underwear to work. It says it right on the back of the package, man. And you're like,
Wow.
no, I'm not.
No,
I can't.
no.
I have to change my voicemail. Hey, this is Jay. I can't go on the phone right now. I'm shitting my pants. I wouldn't. So any medicine that makes you do that, forget about it. So my grandfather once told me, he was a wise man. He said, Jay, never take a sleeping pill and a laxative on the same night.
Wow.
Yeah. And did I listen to him? No, I've taken Ambien, and it's a sleeping pill that, boy, you wake up, it's not pretty,
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, just a little health tip for your viewers out there.
I always learn something new from every guest I have on here, so this is great.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Good to know.
You do.
Is it okay if I play your 3-minute clip from I think it
Sure,
was
go for it, man.
coconut? Okay, I'll just give me 1 second.
Sure.
And I will put it on. I'm new to this, so just.
Your first car, there were no seatbelts.
Can you hear it okay, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was your mama, wasn't it? Oh my God, you'd be driving along and boom, remember that? Boom, boom. Like about the third light, you're like going, gosh, darn, Mom, just let me go through the windshield. I can't breathe. Oh my God. Jeez, all the neighborhood kids know and yell shotgun at our house. The carpool, the kids get in there full football gear, man. It was crazy. There were no power windows. No power. You know how hard it was to look cool flipping somebody off with no power window? Simplification in America. There were no cup holders. There were no cup holders, people, remember? Used to hold steaming, hot cups of coffee, 3,000 degrees, dude, right in my crotch. And if you spilled it, you didn't sue anybody. You got it. You just went, gosh darn it, I wish I had a cup holder. Simplification. I grew up in a poor neighborhood near Nogales, Mexico. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. I didn't always live in Los Angeles. We were so poor. Oh my God, we had a TV with a coat hanger for an antenna. Yeah, aluminum foil on the top of it. Yeah, and the remote control was my little brother. We were tough. Remember that? You could change the channel, right? And you had to go through 6 feet of shag carpet. We were tougher as a pussification American. We were so poor we couldn't afford a piñata for birthdays. We had to keep my uncle in the crotch till he was 10. We lived in a Mexican neighborhood except for one guy who was Irish Mexican. His name was Carlos Murphy. Every morning that guy would knock on our door. Oh, I chopped the piñata to you, mi little pendejos. Oh my God, we were so close to Mexico, we would get Telemundo. Telemundo on one of our 3 channels. We get the Beverly Hillbillies in Spanish. I remember the theme song to this day. Es un de su mi historia, señor, se llama Jetta, pobrecito caballero, pero que usted ven in the deal while I meet the for comida, up through the ground, come a bubbling crew. That was me, Chris.
That was great. Thank you for letting me play that clip on here.
Sure, man. My pleasure.
I
Thank you for promoting me, man.
I do that with all my guests, and I think Grace too. Grace has helped me out with StreamYard a little bit, and I'm still got a lot to learn in that. But this StreamYard's
Good.
great because I can make my podcast look somewhat professional and promote my guests at the same time.
Yeah, Grace. Yeah, boy, hubba hubba. I like Grace.
Oh yeah, I said every time I meet a woman, she has to live 30,000 miles away. The ones I can't stand live right near me, but the ones I like live on the other
Well,
coast.
you got all these hot ladies doing your intro, man. I'm jealous.
Well, I don't know what it is. It seems like the older I get, the more they're attracted to me.
Good for you, dude.
Maybe they
Someone,
think I'm sorry.
yeah, someone's got to. I guess maybe it's the pickup lines I use, like, "Hey, baby, your body's name must be Visa because it's everywhere I want to be." Maybe that's. I always say, "Hey, I may not be Fred Flintstone, but I can make your bed rock." You know, stuff. I don't know. Maybe maybe I should change it up a little bit. Like, "Hey, if your left leg was Thanksgiving, your right leg was Christmas. Could I meet you between the holidays?" What do you think, Chris? You got what that works?
Yeah, I'm not very good at those kind of lines. You're great at that. I think it's because maybe they think I'm a sugar daddy because I'm almost 49.
Yeah, I some of them I've thrown out. I watched this cowboy in a country bar. He's like, "Woo, baby, let's go home, play house. You be the screen door. I'll slam you all night long." And I was like, "Whoa, dude." I told this cowboy, I said, women really like, when you romance them. When you take a girl out, right, Chris? You buy them some escargot, get a little chardonnay, and then when the bill comes, you get half. But if you speak French to a young lady, man, it's just like they're butter in your hands. And I showed this cowboy, we're in a country bar, and I said, "Watch this, dude." And I pulled this cowgirl over and I said, "Parlez-vous français, you little heifer?" And I remember waking up thinking I have never been more relaxed. Didn't quite work out for me. I guess what I'll do is I'll try the CDP approach. I'm going to grow a beard, I guess.
I was gonna say the only French words I know is bonjour, très bien, merci beaucoup, madame. But sometimes that's enough to work to use.
Yeah. You,
Hello, bonjour.
isn't that one of the languages in Canada?
Yeah, English and French.
Oh,
Um, I'm pretty well English, but Quebec, the province of Quebec, and some of the other East Coast, they do both English and French. But for me, I took French in school, but it wasn't one of my strong suits. But you know what? If you could speak two languages, or three or four, the more power to you.
right on. Yeah, right on. Like I said, I met a lot of Canadian folks when I used to do the Cayman Islands. I performed down there, and a lot of Canadian folks actually worked in the resorts
Nice.
and the bars and stuff. I guess they take the Canadian money and convert it, and it would be, at the time, they would make bank. It was like double. It was worth double, like in Canada. So they were getting, they made great money. So they'd like to come down there and work, and then they'd take it home.
Yeah, our dollars right now, I think it's 78 cents American, so it's still in your guys' favor. But I know a couple years ago, it was down to 62 cents, and it was not even worth going over to the States because their dollar was so bad. But right now, it's about 78 cents. But I can't go to the States. I haven't been to the States now in 14 months, and or you can fly to the States or travel. You can't cross the border by car. So you can go by airplane to somewhere else, but our government won't let you use your car to go across the border.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
it's crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah, I could talk to you for hours for craziness and stuff like that. So, but that's why I like the comedy and stuff like that because you have to have a sense of humor nowadays.
yeah, and I got my vaccine card, so I'm assuming that's going to help me get out of the house more now and get the gigs. I'm not as worried about doing gigs. I'm on Gig Salad. Just for your viewers' knowledge, there you could book me through Gig Salad or my website, or jayhewlett.com. As you
I got it right. I got it right there. Like I said, I like to promote my guests. They come on and help me out because hey, the podcast is only as good as guests like yourself and Grace and other ones. So I, like I said, I like to promote you guys.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'd like to promote Grace myself, but um, you know, yeah. So I get booked through that stuff, but it was literally. I hate to use this this way. It was just dead. I would get house parties, a lot of offers. Through Gig Salad, I just position myself on Gig Salad, and we'll see. I think things are going to start to fire back up, but turned down a lot of stuff just because I didn't want to be at a house party. People I didn't know. Just 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine, her relatives were inviting her in, and her cousin got sick at this late date of COVID and really seriously ill. So you still, you kind of got to be careful, but
Definitely.
Feel like with the vaccine, I think now I can get back in the clubs, and I've got kind of I'm still putting a little buffer time. So I've got an East Coast Florida tour coming up in July, and got a few weeks booked. I'm going to be at that Coconuts Comedy Club. I'm going to be at a club in East Coast there. I guess it's called Gregory's. I'll be at Gregory's, and I'm going to be at Anthony's on the Boulevard in Cape Coral, and where else am I going to be? Oh, the Gypsy Club in St. Augustine, and the Winner's Circle in Lakeland. So yeah, I've got things mapped out, and I've got the vaccine. So I'm just going to wait till July, and then I think everything will be calmed down, and people I think are going to be ready to laugh, my friend.
Oh yes, definitely. I was gonna say, I haven't even got my first shot yet. Canada doesn't make their own vaccine. We have to import it. Like we have to buy it from the States or other countries. So only I think 12% of Canada has been vaccinated so far. And even after you get your first shot here, you have to wait 3 to 4 months to get the second shot.
Okay, so I think in some ways that's smart. You're going to get more people vaccinated with the first shot. The first shot, after my understanding is after 21 days, your first shot, you're pretty, it's pretty effective. Like I think it's like up to 80% or something. Now you have, immunity up to about 80%. So that's pretty good. Yeah, I have a suppressed immune system, so I got in early.
Yeah, that's what they're doing here too. People that have underlying medical conditions can go earlier. So I've already pre-registered. So I'm hoping maybe by end of April or May to get my first vaccine shot. I hope.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just gonna. I think it's just gonna open it up for everybody. So Americans hopefully have to understand, realize, we got to get that vaccine out to everybody. It's not good if it's only your country.
Yeah.
It's a village. So
yes,
we have to help everybody, all our neighbors, third world countries, everybody.
Definitely.
Nip this thing in the bud. When you think about measles and polio and those types of things you're able to eradicate, it's pretty amazing how fast they came up with this vaccine, right?
Yeah, usually it takes a year and a half, 2 years. They did it within 6 months, 7 months.
Yep, those guys are above my pay grade, that's for sure.
Definitely mine too. So, Jay, is it okay if I ask you some questions?
Sure, fire away.
Okay. All right. Can you tell my Canadian audience? Well, actually, it's pretty well world because I'm on public here. But can you tell my audience just a little bit about yourself, like how you ended up getting into the world of comedy, being a producer, and I guess an actor as well?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, my mom was a drama teacher. My dad was kind of he was an actor as well, and he worked in a mailroom. So I always like to say I came from a teaching mom and a mailman dad, and one day I'll be able to make that mailroom myself. But yeah, I just grew up, like I said, didn't have a lot of things the other kids had, so you just kind of help make myself laugh. My mom taught at a high school, so I'd perform in front of those kids, and then I guess I was voted like class clown in elementary school, class clown in junior high, funniest class clown in high school. Then I was the funniest man on campus at the University of Arizona, and I won an all expense paid trip to wherever I wanted to go. And I used to do the Comedy Store. I did San Diego and other comedy stores, like other comedy venues in California. And so, yeah, basically just grew up kind of liking to make people laugh, and that's what I did. I got my master's at the University of Arizona, and I decided I'm going to go in the role full time. My mom thought I was crazy, but I did it, and I wouldn't have traded it for the world. So eventually I ended up in LA. I worked, like you mentioned it, I actually worked on a series called California Dreams. So I just did kind of an extra part on Saved by the Bell. But California Dreams, I had lines. And one of my first acting gigs was on a show called The Young Writers. It was on ABC. And I had a reoccurring role. And that's kind of what prompted me to come out to LA. And then I met the casting director for the kids shows out here, and she put me in Hang Time and, like I said, an extra part in Saved by the Bell, and then speaking parts in California Dreams. And yeah, so that's kind of like my trajectory from elementary school to now.
I was gonna say, was it the original Saved by Bell or the brand new one?
New class.
The new one, okay.
Yeah, so like I said, that was just an extra thing. So you wouldn't even, people go, what episode? I don't even remember. But I was just kind of in the background. Ironically, I played a teacher. But it's just walking down the hall with my kids or something, said hurry up. It was an under 5 thing. And then the California, so the same woman booked all 3 of those for NBC. And interesting, in Los Angeles, people say, why do you move to Los Angeles? And because the networking advantage. And I went to a writing workshop, and it was at the Improv, and it was conducted by one of the co-owners. One of the more famous of the 2 co-owners is Bud Friedman, of course. And he was always known for that, for his show. Like I don't know, it's escaping me, but he produced a show that was taped at the Improv. The lesser known owner was named Mark Linnell. And Mark, did the day-to-day business, but he also taught some writing classes. So I went in more or less, for me, I'd already been doing comedy full-time professionally 3 years. Woo! And so he taught a concept called point of view. But when I was in that class, I met a future writing partner, but I also met a guy named Carl Kurlander. And Carl was wanting to kind of jump into stand-up comedy. He was a paid writer, and his staff position was on Saved by the Bell, the new class. So he and I became friends. I took him on the road with me and had him open for me. And he was brand new. I mean, just that class was like the first time he'd been on stage. But Carl, he was so enamored with that. He loved it. And the guys loved him because he would tell them all the inside writer room stories. So he wrote a little movie you may have heard of called St. Elmo's Fire.
Yes.
Yeah. So he wrote that movie and the screenplay, and right out of college, and then he sold it, and they brought him out to LA. So he ran around with that Brat Pack, Demi Moore, and all that gang.
Yeah.
Judd Hirsch and all these guys. So so I met him at the writer's workshop. I took him on the road. He took my headshot, gave it to their casting director, Robin Lippin. I said, this guy's really funny. You could probably use him. So I went in and I read for her. And there, it's the next thing I knew, I was on some NBC shows. And that was the start of that. And that's why I lived in LA. And that, you kind of meet people like that all the time.
contacts. Like I'm trying to actually get into radio, and what I'm doing with this podcast the last year is I've been able to establish some contacts, and it's just amazing how everybody's been great with me because, like I said, a year ago I was just started this brand new, and I never thought a year later I'd be like getting guys from the NFL, ESPN, people like yourself and Grace, and I always figured, who the hell is this 48-year-old Canadian, what he's trying to do? But everybody, whatever profession they have been involved with, has been great with me on here.
Yeah. I think you find that a lot of people, people like sharing what, they've done to a point. I mean, comedians are, in terms of like gigs and stuff, are ultra competitive. And, when you think about it, I recently, because I'm trying to getting back into the swing of things, everything just stopped. So now when things are opening up, it's like this feeding frenzy, right, Chris? So everybody's hitting up club owners and bookers. And, so guys are like, hey, some guys are real open to sharing. I'm one of the people that have taken people along with me. Like I just mentioned.
A mentor, like a mentor.
Yeah, I'll take them along and help them, to a point and say, hey, look, you can MC. I can get you into MC. And that's going to introduce you to the club owner, or some of people I can get into feature. Evening at the Improv is what Bud Friedman had for 15 years. And I actually got booked on it by Mark Linnell. And then after that season, the one I was booked for got canceled. But that was, again, being there in that environment, Mark Linnell would say, how do you get it discovered, established? How do you get gigs or time? He's hang out at the Improv. That would be his advice. And so I wish I'd done it more. The problem is if you're making money, if you have to make money to live, you have to be on the road, because LA guest sets, and when you get time on stage out here, it's for free. Usually it's, you're doing it for exposure. You might get $25 a set. Now, if you go down to Orange County, they'll pay $100 a show, $150 a show. You could do that. But up here, it's to showcase. But what you get out of it is you do meet a lot of people, and then they introduce you to people that worked on the road. But you have to go on the road to make money. But to get acting jobs, you have to live here. So you kind of like, So a lot of guys end up trying to do their stage time here and then waiting tables and that type of stuff. And
get part-time other part-time jobs too.
Yeah, exactly. Now I imagine guys are doing, the Uber thing and Lyft thing and the DoorDash to make their schedule so they're flexible. And because and then you might just do the road when the film companies and TV shows are on what they call hiatus, and then come back in for pilot season. So that's basically the way it worked. But you get a bunch of acting jobs in a row, and then suddenly it dries up, and you have to have some sort of income coming in.
Well, what I was gonna say, from what I've been gathered from Grace and Lana and Lauren I had on last week, you have to be prepared to be multi-talented. You have to be very flexible. You can't just be focused in one area, especially in LA. From what I've been told, you have to be able to do different roles, I guess.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's. Hey, that's what makes, they all help each other out too. Your acting helps out, your comedy, and vice versa. The comedy has helped me get acting gigs, definitely, and improv in particular. So a lot of the auditions are, hey, tell us about yourself, or you're in this situation, what would you do? And you got to be able to think on your feet.
Definitely. My next question I was going to ask for you, Jay, you probably already answered it, but did you have a mentor when you were first starting out in the industry? And you already said where you attended school. I believe you said Arizona.
Yeah. So comedy mentor, not so much. I now had comedy heroes. I used to love to listen to Rodney Dangerfield, and
Funny.
yeah, I love that guy.
Oh yeah.
just when you talk about character, and I don't know if Lauren talked about Steve North. Lauren and I both. I turned her on to that guy, but he preaches comedy character. So it's mine is kind of the grumpy guy. I just, my stage persona anyway. Things happen to me, and I don't know why, because basically I'm an idiot. But stuff happens, and so he coaches people that comics. When you're a stand-up comic, you say things, you say funny things. But when you're a comedian, you say things funny. So even though it may not be a joke per se, people see the persona, and they laugh at the character as much as they laugh at the line. And that's kind of what I learned. So if you want to talk about mentor, but it was fast forward after I came to LA, probably Steve North was the one that taught me the difference between being a comic and doing observation, and then doing character-driven stuff, things that happen to me. Like I'm the one using the pickup line. I'm the one, that went, had to drink. I didn't drink bottled water. I drink out of a hose. It's not. Ever see those guys that do this? That type of thing. These things happen to me. I'm the one that asks a girl out and says "Parlez-vous français," and then she ends up kicking my ass. So that type of stuff. So Steve North would probably be what I would call a comedy mentor to me. But comedy heroes, Rodney Dangerfield, love that guy. Those one-liners, all he had to do is he just had to walk out, and you just knew he was a guy that didn't get respect. He didn't even have to say it. He's come out there and he was sweating and wasn't very attractive, and he's like, "Oh my kid, I told my kid, you don't have it upstairs." He says, "Dad, you don't have it downstairs." I bought my kid a BB gun. He bought me a shirt with a target on it. I'm telling you, I get no respect. No respect, Chris. My wife, she's no bargain either. My wife, she signed me up for a bridge club. I jump off next Tuesday, my wife. I went to the bar. I went to the bartender. I said, "Hey, surprise me." He said, "What are you having?" I said, "Surprise me." He showed me a naked picture of my wife. All of these are like just tight set up punch. And comedy's gone from, it's gone all the kinds of different paths. You have storytellers, you have, we used to call, now there's this like avant-garde comedy. You just speak from your pain and all this stuff. And there's traditional guys too that just do stand up and punch. So I like, I try not to watch too many other people, but I do occasionally will, because I'm in the clubs, I do run into people, and and just by happenstance, one night I came off the stage at the Improv, and Rodney Dangerfield was there, and Mark Linnell said, "Hey, good set," and Rodney's "Good set, kid," and I was like, oh, my head was like that, And another night I was hanging out at the Improv, like after the writing class. And Mark Linnell says, "Hey, you want to go up?" The guy dropped out. I go in, I go up. Gary Shandling's there. Another time, Mark says, after he goes, "Hey, you want to give you some more time?" And I open for Dave Chappelle. So, in that club, I never got to be like a real regular. I was always like, because I was new, kind of hanging out. But another club knew I had that experience, and it was called Igby's. And then they also had another club called the Ice House. The Ice House is like world renowned. It's still open. Igby's, the two owners split. I'll take this club, you take that club. I was a regular at Igby's, and that was the thing. If you became a regular, oh my God, you checked in every week and you got stage time like every week. But that was the only club I made regular like that fast. And then they had freeway construction and it closed. And that was it. So I was like, But after that point, it was on the road a lot anyway. So yeah. But mentor, Steve North, heroes, Dave Chappelle, Rodney Dangerfield. I like George Carlin. George Carlin's another one. So lots of people that I look up to, definitely.
I was gonna say Canada's got a lot of comedians too, and my favorite's the late John Candy. I
Oh,
just wish he passed away at 44. But to me, John Candy, and we used to have a show in the 70s and 80s called SCTV. You
yeah.
had John Candy, Eugene Levy, Martin Short, Andrea Martin, Catherine O'Hare. So us Canadians, not me, but us Canadians do produce a lot of funny Canadians. Even Mike Myers, who's from Scarborough, which is near Toronto, and then Jim Carrey's even from Canada too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lot of improv, lot of improv guys, and then kind of transferred over to stand up as well, and comedic acting. Good stuff, John Candy. Yeah, I love that guy.
Oh yeah, it's just I wish he was still around because he's just Uncle Buck and just every character he played, man, he's just to me he's still one of my favorites of all time.
Yep, the world-renowned Polka King in Home Alone. You bet.
Oh yes, definitely. So hopefully one day you'll be able to come to Canada and perform here.
Yeah, I should get a list of clubs and try to hit those up again from you. So we'll do that on the. We'll message each other.
Yeah, we're still kind of locked down, but I'm hoping by the end of I'm hoping once more vaccine gets here, things will open up again and it'll get a little bit better. So I'll just have
Yeah.
to cross my fingers on that.
Yeah, you bet. Right, absolutely.
Okay. Are you still okay for time?
Yeah, I'm good,
Okay.
man.
Okay. I like that. Where I work, I like to ask questions. It's just part of me. So I kind of like to ask a lot of questions, but my next one is going to be what was your first comedy performance and what comedy club?
Oh, that's a good one. There was I I grew up in Tucson, like I mentioned, very close to the Nogales, Mexico border, and one of the first places that so there's a difference between like what you delineate your kind of professional club and then just and when you when you went on stage in the neighborhood or something. So this place in Tucson was called Tequila Mockingbird, and they started doing open mics. But I guess like even before that, though, in college there was a place called the Comedy. It was the Comedy Corner, and it was in a basement in the student union. And at lunchtime, people all gathered there to eat. So that was probably one of the first times and what we did were sketches. They were very simple to, the John Candy and those kind of SCTV sketches. Um, so we would do sketches, but at the time, some of the guys were experimenting and going up between sketches and doing comedy. And I thought I can do that because I'd already done it at my high school. I went up and entertained when my mom would have me go up and tell them about drama class and try to get kids to sign up. So I do, funny shtick. So I go up, I went on the Comedy Corner and bam. Next thing you know, this guy, this is late 1980s. So we're talking about, 85 or something. Guy
God,
came on,
go ahead.
he opened up a comedy club in the back of a Chinese restaurant. So prior to going in and trying out for that guy, I did this Tequila Mockingbird. I did the Comedy Corner, then I did the open mic. It was an open mic at Tequila Mockingbird, and then I went and auditioned for this guy, and his was called the Comedy Zone. Now there's a Comedy Zone in the East Coast that I work for as well, but he did this one. He was in the back of a Chinese. First, he was in the back of an Italian restaurant, and then he moved to the back of a Mexican restaurant, and it was tiny, and we would do bits there. And then I won, like I said, the funniest person on campus, and I actually got a guest set over at the Comedy Store in San Diego, not the one in LA, but in San Diego. So those were my first professional gigs. I actually got, I think this guy, and believe it or not, his name was Howard Stern. This guy I think he paid $25 a set, if you featured or open, either one, for him. And then he paid his headliners like $100 a set, which they came from out of town. But the whole room only held about 50 or 60 people. But he charged about $10 $15. So he did okay. And it was new. People in Tucson, wow. So he'd get, good crowds. And I just worked my way up. And then they had this newspaper publication. So every weekend, my name was in there somewhere. I was either at Tequila Mockingbird, another place opened up in the mall, or I was at this Comedy Zone. So when I called the Tempe Improv, and I called and I got the secretary answers the phone, I go, "Hi, my name's Jay Hewlett, and I was just wondering if I could get in and, audition or do a guest set." And she goes, "Are you the Jay Hewlett that's in the Easy Read or whatever it is?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." "All right, let me get." Got the manager. He said, "Yeah, come on up. We want you to work." And so I did the improv, and then the next place opened up was called Laughs in Tucson. I did Laughs Tucson, then Albuquerque, then I sent a tape to Florida, and then the rest. At that point, I started doing it full time.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of clubs, but that was the heyday, man. Late '80s, early '90s.
90s. I feel so old now when people say 80s and early 90s. I feel so bloody old. Can we go back to the 80s and 90s?
But the club scene was on fire for comedy. And then, around 95, 98 started dying down. It just got saturated. And then
Too much.
Yeah, by 2000, you could get it on TV. Everybody's local. The Holiday Inns were doing comedy. Holiday Inns would be, in their banquet room. And so, everybody was doing comedy. So people got it, burned out. And now it's so easy to get on your TV or Netflix. But I think it's going to come back in terms of live audiences, because I think people are going to call me Krusk and want to get out of the house.
Oh yeah, because hey, I want to go out of the house too, because I haven't been to the States or traveling in over a year now, and I love going to sporting events and football games, hockey and baseball, and I miss being around people.
Yeah. So that was my trajectory of on the road and getting introduced to acting stuff, and now I feel like everybody's starting all over again. I feel like I'm starting all over again too. So,
but I like I said, I do agree with you. Once things get better and everyone's vaccinated, people are going to want to get out. Like, as much as I love doing Zoom or StreamYard and my podcast, people are going to want. I definitely agree with you. Comedy clubs will get back in again because people want to get out again and get out of the house and be entertained.
Yeah, I agree. We, our show that you're so graciously support the comedians at Denny's. We used to the whole concept was we broadcast from the Denny's, and it's like typical of comics that get done with a show. After the show, they go to a Waffle House, a Denny's, something that's open, 24 hours or late, and they go and they shoot the shit, talk about the show, try material, eat, and kind of unwind, And so we have guest comics come to the Denny's, and we'd buy them that Grand Slam or something, and then we'd talk and we try jokes and the state of comedy, just like we're doing right now. So that's our show every Wednesday night at 8:30 Pacific time,
which is 11:30 East Coast time.
Yeah, it's late.
Yes, but definitely. And we've got a Denny's opening up where I live here now. It only took 40 years, but we finally have a Denny's restaurant where I live. I live in a city called Guelph, which is called the Royal City. It's about an hour from Toronto, 2 hours from Buffalo, 3.5 from Detroit. It's actually in a good location because it's close to Toronto, which is our version of New York, and not far from New York State and Michigan border. But unfortunately, like I said, our border crossings are closed right now. So
yeah, and I think well, I had no idea that I think that's going to change soon. So hang in there.
Cross your fingers. Yes, I hope you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question, I've asked Grace, Lana, and Lauren. I'm bad with names sometimes, but I had to ask you because I know each comedian's different. But I wanted to ask you this anyways. How long does it take you personally to gauge an audience mood to your jokes?
Probably from the first minute I get up and the MC or whoever's introduced me, and I I acknowledge that MC in more or less of a funny way. Kind of, you got to react to it like in an improv kind of way, And I can tell right away from within the first 30 seconds, the kind of the mood. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that if they start out, let's say apprehensive, or they're not sure about you, doesn't mean that you can't eventually win them over. But as a general rule, I think probably about the first 30 seconds, I can tell I'm going to have to work, or this is going to be a lot of fun, super easy, or I'm going to have to work and it'll still be fun, but I'm going to have to work. So, yeah. What the ladies say? How fast?
Actually, 30 seconds. Every one of them. Grace, Lana, was born in Canada, and she's great too. And Lauren, yeah, did both with 30 seconds. So
Yeah.
I was always curious about that because everybody's different. I guess every comedian's different, but so far 4 of you guys have said 30 within 30 seconds.
Yeah, sometimes you just, I'm walking up in character. Hey, how you doing? I'm shaking hands with people, and you can almost tell sometimes just walking up, people's reaction to you. So it's called getting the temperature of the room, Chris. Gotta ascertain the temperature of the room. Same and same thing with, sometimes people aren't into it could be a late night show, but
Yep.
people, for whatever reason, they're just not into profanity or some other thing. So getting the temperature of the room, and then other people are drunk off their ass, and it's a different vibe. So I call it like being a quarterback. You're like a quarterback at the line, and
Yep.
you're reading the defense.
Defense, yep.
And the audience is the defense, and you're audibling. Do I use that bit right now? Do you use this bit later? We all have kind of a standard format, but sometimes you have to deviate, and you just call an audible at the line. That's the way I look at it.
Even sometimes doing my podcast too, you sometimes have to call an audible too. And like I said, not every podcast. Some people love my shows, and some it depends on the guest too. And it's just can't please everyone. But I just try to get good guests on here and try to do a really good job at it. But every show's different.
Yeah, exactly. That's right, man. It's everything, if you can't please if you're pleasing everybody, you're probably pleasing, you're probably not doing the right thing. So you got to keep experimenting, keep throwing things up there, and keep growing.
It's like being a comedian too. I guess you would say the same thing. Just practice, and keep getting reps. That's the only way you get good at stuff in life, is just repetitive. Just keep doing it.
Yeah, that's what I tell a new comic. It's writing and stage time. You got to get on stage. You can't do it in front of the mirror the whole time. You got to get up there on stage, man.
Just like I'm doing this with live streaming.
Yep, you're going to get really good at it.
I still got a lot to learn, but like I said, my guests are making my show because I've been very lucky with who I've been able to get on here. So
yeah, good for you, man. Keep at it.
Okay, I just got a couple more questions for you. The next one I wanted to ask. Okay, are you okay still?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Okay, cool. This one I wanted to ask you too. How hard is it to write your own jokes, and how many do you write a week, and how long does it take to write jokes? Like, do you get it right off the bat, or do you have to like just be in the mood to do it? Like, how does that work with you guys?
Well, yeah, that's kind of a two-part question. It's interesting, when I mentioned George Carlin and I worked together in the Las Vegas Comedy Festival. I wouldn't say together, but he was actually there to be honored. He was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is back in 2009 or something, 10. Anyway, I was on the showcase before his award ceremony, which he actually performed at as well. But in the workshop that I go to, this guy, Steve North, and his wife used to write on a show that George Carlin created as a pilot. So this term that I come up with called pussification of America, you asked the writing process, I came up with in a workshop. So where we physically take material that is rough, and then we go to a workshop, Steve as the coach and other people participating help us form it up, tune it up, sharpen it, kind of get it ready for the stage, or tell you to get rid of, it's not working. So this term Pussification of America is ironic. George and I didn't perform on the same stage. He didn't see me perform per se. He heard that I had a great set through my managers, and he said something after about it. But to answer your question, partially that workshop I'd go to, and I don't go there anymore, but we would work on bits that we came up with during the week. Now, how do I come up with those bits? So the funniest things I think I come up with are just, I can't explain it. They just pop into my head. They pop into my head and I write them down, and then I kind of form them up. And I think a lot of comics will tell you that if they sit down consciously and try to write material, it doesn't happen. Now, having said that, I also come up with material on stage. As I'm doing a bit, I'll improv and extend it. You call it arching the eyebrow. You keep adding to the bit, and if the audience laughs at it, you keep it. You get off stage, you write it down immediately. Now, having said that, you can't sit down necessarily and write material, doesn't mean you don't try. So I follow a book for many years now called The Artist's Way. And it's not, the author is Cameron. Just remember Cameron. And she is a proponent of morning pages. So morning pages are basically, you get up in the morning before you do it. Well, do your thing in the bathroom, but you sit down before your mind wakes up and you just write. It's stream of consciousness. And she recommends every artist do that. Whether you're a podcaster, whether you play violin, piano, a dancer, sculptor, painter, comedian, actor, you get the idea. Every artist should get up in the morning and do stream of consciousness writing. And I've been a proponent of that for over 20 years. So I have notebooks of every morning. I get up and I combine it with the recumbent bike. I sit on a recumbent bike and I do my morning pages. A lot of times it's just like a diary, what's happened to me. But occasionally I'll get a comedy nugget in there, a comedy gem, and I star it, and then I come back to it and I expound on it. But the idea is that when you sit down to write something, be it a script, be it a podcast format, be it a symphony, a music, whatever it is, you don't sit there and edit yourself. You don't sit there and go, oh, no, I'm not going to write that. Nope, that's shitty. Nope, no. You just start writing. And trust me, if you do this for 6 months, you'll see what I mean. You'll get on that, because if you know it doesn't matter what you write, then you write. So if you go in with that idea, so now when I sit down for the purpose of writing a script, for example, for a sketch group I belong to, I don't even think about it. I just start, and it frees you from editing yourself. Oh, that's horrible. I'm not going to write that. I'm not going to do that. Before you know it, you don't even start. So her thing is, when you were a kid, you did things with a leap of faith. You did things with a leap of faith. So you wanted to play an instrument in school, you did it. You didn't think about, I'm going to be crappy at this, So now it's trying to get back to that childhood mentality of, this is going to be fun. So you have lawyers now that have read this book that have gone back to taking piano lessons. They started, they stopped, they became lawyers. They said, hey, I missed that. They do the morning pages. It opens them up to other artistic pursuits. Highly recommend that book. It's called The Artist's Way. And it's helped me, not edit myself when I do write. Now, the vast majority of the things that I write in morning pages never make it into my comedy act, but occasionally. And when I do sit down for the purpose of writing something that like I'm getting paid for, I just sit and I write. Doesn't mean I don't edit it, but I write and I write and I write and I write. And it works. It really works. So give it a shot. But
Okay.
most of the funny things that I've done pop into my head. Hate to say it when I'm driving or in the bathroom. They just pop in there, and then I write them down as soon as I have an opportunity to.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna say when I do my podcast, I do write down stuff like questions and stuff like that, and
Sure.
sometimes I use what I write down. I put some of it on my graphics here, but sometimes it depends on how the show's going or how my guest is going, and sometimes ad lib. I've learned to get a little better at that too because it's people don't always want to see a podcast where it's completely totally scripted. So I've learned now to get a little bit better with ad libbing and just trying to think on my feet when I do
Sure.
these podcasts and just try to talk to you like I'm at a bar with you or at a comedy club with my guests.
Yeah. So yeah, like so the first 15, 20 minutes I was, I kind of stay in character. I do, and I bounce off your questions with bits. And then which you do that, and then as these types of shows go, you tend to start answering questions in the real, kind of like without the eyebrow arched, because I think people are generally, especially if you're a fan of comedy, you're kind of interested in the process that people went through to get whatever level they're at, whatever
Yeah.
level of defined success. How did they get on the stage? So that's the way I look at it.
And I try to ask, like, I try to think what I'd like to ask each guest because each guest is different. I could have somebody in media, somebody that's an athlete, a comedian such as yourself. So I try to ask good questions or questions where that guest feels comfortable answering.
So we in a workshop we do these. So we do radio as comics. So when you go into a town, and I see it happening a lot less these days, but even as of not last summer because last summer was canceled, but the summer before that, there's a couple clubs I get to, and when I perform for armed services, the armed services radio, armed forces entertainment, they have you on every base that you visit. You do a radio spot, and another thing that we do in Steve North's comedy classes, what you would do is you would practice these situations. So, for example, you practice when an MC introduces you and says something just totally off the wall. Which, by the way, you should always write your introduction down so you don't have to. But even when you do that, MC says stuff and then it doesn't match what you said, and you should react to it. It's weird because if you were in a conversation and said, if someone introduced you to another person and said, "Hey, this is the guy that can bench 300 pounds," and if they say that to you before you go on stage, you can't just blow it off like they didn't say it. You've got to react to it. So Steve would do drills, like we'd call them drills. So someone would introduce you. Hey, there's this next guy. I don't know how funny he is, but he can bench 300 pounds. So you'd have to get up there and you go, yeah, I don't do the steroids because I don't, I just don't think they're healthy for you. You see those guys, they do steroids and, pretty soon pieces of their anatomy are falling off. And then, you kind of, you go into your bit. So
Yeah.
one of the things that Steve would practice is something like this. These Zoomcasts have kind of replaced the radio show or the TV thing. And what you do is when you ask a question or a DJ asks a question, people generally, if you're presenting a comedian, they expect to get laughs. So when you're asking questions, my job is to turn those questions into either material I already have or improv off of them. So you ask me, how did I get started? I say, I went to truck driving school and I learned to communicate that way. You ask me about my childhood, I talk about I didn't have bottled water. So what we do when we're doing radio, now it gets to be a little different after you're going an hour plus, but it's now I'm actually telling you I'm telling you what's behind the curtain. So, but generally, if you're a comic, and I was trying to expound upon this to Laura because we were on Grace's show at the same time. We did Grace's show together, I think. So Grace asked me, how did you get started? And I said, well, I went to truck driving school. You learn how to do comedy from truckers. And I went into it. Lauren had already answered that question. Well, I was class clown in 5th grade or 6th grade, which eventually I got to. But when she heard me, she goes, can I answer mine over again? So that's what comics should do if you're on the road and you're promoting at a radio station or you're doing a stream thing like this. You should turn your questions around and get them into your material. I mean, because
Did not know that.
People really on your show, they really want to laugh. And they're going to decide whether to watch the rest of me by the first 30 seconds of your show. So if I come out with a joke with 30 seconds, I'm so fat, I get on an elevator, it has to go down. They might go, oh, I think I might stick around and listen to this guy. And then I keep going and going and going with material. So in our show, we actually ask people for leading. What would you like us to ask you? Do you have anything that'll help us get into your bits? So that's how I prepare for, these types of shows. And you might consider it too as a host, how to make that person shine with their material. You might ask them some questions they want you to ask to help them get into their bits, but just an idea. That's what we do.
That's great. Hey, any advice anybody can give me? That is great. And I will definitely look into that too.
More seasoned people will try to do that naturally, try to get into material, because otherwise a lot of radio DJs, it's really more about them than it is you. So if you don't learn to turn those questions or what they're talking about into your material, because what your job is to promote yourself so people come out to the club that night. You don't care if they like the DJ, but the DJ's job is to make himself look good, not you. And that's what they do. I recently did when they talk about everything topical that they thought was funny. It really was. I felt like a third wheel. And had I not done Steve's drills and that type of thing, I inserted myself in it. And pretty soon they started including me more. And then it's funny. And then you get people making comments, say, dude, you're funny, and then they have you back. You might, so, and then they come out to the show. Hey, we heard you on. But if I had just answered questions like, yeah, I was the class clown and my mom thought I was really funny. And then I decided I'd try to go on the road. People are like, oh, that's good. But will I come out to see him that night? Maybe. But if you actually do some material, then they're going to say, hey, cool. They'll come out and look at you, That's the idea. Promote, self-promotion, Chris.
Well, that's what I try to do on here and what I do with my guests now, too.
You're doing good, too.
Well, I've got a small following, but I am working hard to try to build it up. It takes time. It just doesn't happen just like that. It takes time.
You are becoming a master podcaster. I, on the other hand, am becoming a masturbator. So it's our paths are different, but kind of the same.
Well, I like watching Grace's. I actually watch Grace's show every Sunday night at 10 o'clock here, which is 7 on your time, because she's entertaining. She's good. And I want to try to be half as good as her. She gets great guests, and she's just got that talent, that that it factor.
Yeah, and she's got cleavage to die for. So, what's not to know?
That's a bonus. That's a bonus.
Yeah, that's right.
So just 2 more questions. And 2 more questions. Yeah. Okay. This next one is, before going on stage, before pre-COVID, obviously, did you have a technique that helps you relax before going on stage? Like a favorite kind of music to listen to, or just read a book or something?
At one point I did try to listen to some music and stuff, but it took me out of my what we call going into your cave. So I kind of go into my cave. I separate myself from other comics, for one thing, but I don't separate myself so far away that I can't pop in the room and check the temperature of the room. So I always want to see, did something turn the audience off? Are they still on fire? Are they still hard? Have you not cracked yet? But I don't want to be so distracted by what's going on in the room and what the other comics are doing that I don't get in my own cave. So to answer your question, I usually find a little corner in the corner of the room in the back. And a lot of times you'll see me with my eyes closed. And people going to the bathroom, they go, after the show, they'll come up and they, either buying a shirt for me or something else. They go, man, we saw you with your eyes closed. And when you walked up, we went, oh man, I don't know if this is going to be any good. This guy was asleep. Not really asleep, but I'm going over what I'm going to do, and especially if there's new material. But I'm getting into what I call my zone, and other comics, their cave. And I'm listening. How am I going to start? What's going to be first, second, third? And you got to keep going over it. And then I do it, and then I come out of that, check the temperature of the room. They still laughing? Did someone piss them off? Did a waitress drop a tray of glasses? Go back to my place, get in. And by the time the comic before me is going on, I'm completely kind of out of my cave, and I'm in the moment with the room. And I'm watching the last part of his act so I can improv or react. I'm listening to what the MC is saying, and I'm watching the crowd. So in my act, I use people in the room as characters. So a lot of people in the room become part of my act. And it's different. A TV set's different. If you watch my BET set, I connect with the crowd a different way. I ask them questions that they don't necessarily answer. But in my stage set, everybody gets a name, like you would be Bearded Guy or Grizzly Adams or, any number of people like that. People get names, and I don't let them answer. I still can't hear everybody from the stage, but I provide the answers for them. So in my mind, I've already picked out my characters. I know what I'm starting with. I know what introduction I've given the MC. I know the temperature of the room. It's a lot of stuff to go up with before. And the comics that get distracted, the ones that are talking to other comics, that brought friends or interested, did they get their seats? Did they get their tickets? Did they get comp? Do I have to pay for, what are they? They're out of their cave. And they get up on stage, and we said the first 30 seconds is important. If you don't nail it, if the people don't buy into your character within that first 30 seconds, you've got an uphill battle. So that's why I get in the back. So to relax, some deep breathing. I'm in my cave. I'm going over what I want. I snap out of it, check the room, come back, continue. Last comic standing in the room, and I'm watching. I'm waiting for me to be introduced. So that's my process right there.
Good to know, because like I said, with me, I like to get on my laptop about an hour and a half before my show. I just like to have everything prepared, ready, look at my questions again, what I want to say, and I also like to listen to some music too, because I find I listen to some 70s and 80s rock music.
Yep.
Just gets me in a better frame of mind. Like everybody's different, but I like to get focused and then just listen to some good upbeat music before I come on my podcast. So I just wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, because this was me transitioning. These are just things I use when you ask me questions. I mean, I know this stuff, but I kind of mentally check it off on here as well, that I use this. And then you told me, thankfully, hey, I'm going to play this clip, and I know that material will already be used. So don't answer one of Chris's questions with that material.
I learned the video clip from Grace, because Grace was doing it on her podcast, and I learned how to do it from hers, because I just like to do that with each guest to show my audience a couple minutes of that person's work as a comedian or in whatever profession they're in.
Their character, right? Yeah.
Their character, yeah, and it also promotes that character, the guest that's on here as well.
Add some credibility.
Definitely. So my last question for you tonight, I talk a lot and I like to ask a lot of questions, but I'm kind of a curious person. Any advice for those people who watch right now or later on looking to pursue a career in the profession, acting and being a producer as well?
Yeah, there's two different hats being a producer. So if you look on my IMDb page, you'll see shows that I put together. One of them I produced and acted in. It's called Mexican Sky, and it's very a serious part. It's like a 10-minute thing. It's well worth watching. It's called Mexican Sky. It's on the IMDb. And then another one that I produce is called Dead Americans. I also acted in that. I don't know if there's a clip on there or not. And then the last thing, the most recent thing we did, it's already been 4 years now, but we did the festivals and the COVID hit, and it was, this is called Krieg, World War II. So extra things in it, back of a truck, that's where, no major acting in it, but I put it together. It's a different skill set. So that one involved, putting together like Kugel wagons or, motorcycles or Nazi uniforms, finding locations. And the guy that wrote it, and a guy named Jeff Ryan executive produced, he did a lot of that stuff on his own. I provided intel, and then a lot of, kind of advice, different skill set producing. Now, if you were looking to get into just purely comedy, my advice to you is just look in the local artist paper. We have something out here called the Beach Reporter, and it's a local thing, but it also lists, things that are going on in the community. You'll see some acting stuff, and also Facebook. Like we have Orange County comedians. I'm in LA County. And there's some LA County comedians, and I kind of see what open mics are going on. And I also kind of fish, I look around and trolling, I guess you'd call it. And I see who's producing what online, and I try to get an electronic press kit. So put together like a little press kit, a video clip, basic resume, and then maybe a story, like a bio. Very short, people don't have a lot of patience these days. But you'll read my bio on my webpage, and then I've got, if they want, resume available, references. But you can see a little video clip like the one you showed. Have that stuff ready, be able to pump it out online, and then look for the stage time, the open mics. Just be a comedy whore. You're going up every possibility you can get, locally. And if you do book something on the road, as I mentioned, most of us are starting over again. When I go out in the summer, I'm not doing, every weekend isn't booked. So on the weekends I'm not booked, guess what I'm doing? I'm contacting these people. Hey, can I do a guest set? Clubs I haven't worked at. Can I do a guest set for you? Take a look at me. Clubs I haven't been to in a long time that for whatever reason haven't hired me back. Hey, can I do a guest set? And now that's what I'm on right now. Like I've got 6 weeks booked, and I'm going to branch out to try to do clubs and call people that I haven't worked for before and see if they'll give me an opportunity to do a guest set. Stage time, writing, stage time. Write, get up on stage, write, get up on stage, write, get up on stage. And then the other half of it is you're a business. You're a salesperson. Yep. You're selling yourself. And you're going to get rejected a lot. Clubs, especially starting, I get rejected a lot. And then even if I have TV credits, major clubs, it's what have you done for me lately? If I haven't been on, if I don't have my own Netflix special, by the way, Gabriel Iglesias used to open for me, and he's exploded. And now I can't, I don't go on tour with him anymore. So, for me, if I meet him out on the road, it would be another opportunity to network. But he used to invite me, and I was out on the road all the time, but he would invite me to play Texas Hold'em. And I'm like, I could kill myself for not going more, because he's got his posse, and he takes them with. So when he does his new show, Mr. Iglesias, or he does a Netflix. He brings people with him. So network and get on stage and write. Get on stage, stage time, stage time, stage time. I would highly recommend Steve North's workshop. If you were interested in doing comedy and creating a character, I would recommend Steve North's workshop. Just Google him, you'll see it. He's called the Comedy Coach, and that would be well worth your time and money. You have to pay him. So, but that would be my advice.
Definitely. And with what I do with this podcast, I like to network, make contacts. I've even made some friends. The thing is, I'm just trying to get as much exposure as I can, and hopefully somebody will see my work on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and hopefully like what I'm doing with my my podcast and that, because I really enjoy doing this, and I've been getting a lot of great guests. As soon as I'm done with you tonight, I will be trying to get guests for May, because I'm already booked up for April, and I try to arrange stuff. I try to work with the guest schedule too and be flexible.
Nice. Yeah, I've got to get more proficient at like TikTok, for example. Lauren does that, but
yeah, I'm not even on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, being able to say this number of people have seen my videos, or this number of people follow me, can be a huge sales advantage, because this number of people follow me in your city, they'll come out to see me if you book me. So we're all growing, myself included. And I've got to get better at it too. In your case, someone sees you and they like what you do. There you go. And I have this many followers. Maybe they bring you on as one of a co-host, and then you bring your followers with you. So it's all the technology. It's a different day and age than when I would just go and say, hey, I was on the Young Writers, and they would hire me. Hey, I'm on ABC. If you turn on the TV tonight, you're going to see me in a promo with David Soul. Remember him from Starsky and Hutch?
Yes. Back in the 70s.
Yeah. He shot and killed me in the Young Writers at the end, but 3 episodes leading up to that, fourth, I was performing with him, and you would see me each week. They were kind of showing a preview of what was happening. So that's powerful. If you could call somebody and go, hey, turn on ABC about 7 o'clock, watch the Young Writers, I'm on. And then you're also going to see a promo for next week. So if you hire me, and if I knew this 2 months in advance, hire me, I'll be there the weekend that I'm on TV. And man, God, that's huge. So if I can get a Netflix thing, my part, with Denny's, Chris Spinelli has a group, and I'm trying to crack that group, a little acting group, and they change hats. So he produces one weekend, another weekend he's acting, and another weekend he's producing, he's producing and acting. But he gets on Netflix a lot. They sell their stuff.
I think that's the future of everything now, is Netflix and live streaming.
It's like, what have you done for me lately? Who's following you? What people can you bring to the club? Because it's really, that's what it is. That's the language club owners speak. Even if you're only moderately funny, sad to say, if you can bring people and pack the club out, they don't care. So if those people are coming because they like you, they obviously think there's something funny about you. Too much of it's watered down, though. You have people that aren't ready, that are going on stage, and then the audience doesn't come back. So club owners are kind of biting their, to spite their face. They're hiring local people that work for less. They do a shitty job, and then the audience doesn't come back.
And that's not good either.
No. So that's why I say stage time and open mics, get good.
It's like anything. It's just like anything. Just practice and reps.
Comedy club owners, they have computers too. They put your notes in a database. This guy sucked. And like the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore used to do that. She had like handwritten notes. And if you if you got the thumbs down from her, you didn't work for her for forever. I mean, a long time. You were in the side rooms, in this room, in that room. If she liked you, and you became one of her regulars. So it's people have long memories. So if you go into these showcase clubs, be ready. But these other clubs, you can go and just kind of do guest sets, do as much material as you're ready for.
Yeah.
5-7 minutes, kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better to kill, leave them wanting more.
Because I see some of these podcasts, and some of these guys are like eating food. They're like, I can't do that. Eat food on my podcast, and they don't seem to be really prepared. And it's like I take this seriously. Like I'm having fun with it, but I try to be a professional about it. So I don't worry about these other podcasts. I just want to try to make my podcast the best podcast I can each and every show.
Yep, that's all you can control. So good job.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I've told this to my other guests. A podcast is only as good as your guests.
That's right. Well, I'm honored to be on your show, CDP.
Well, I'm honored to be your friend, and I really want to say thank you so much for coming on my show tonight. And maybe in the future, you might be able to come back on again, maybe in the summer.
Yeah, maybe from the road, Chris. That's what we'll do.
Definitely.
I'll tell you about my grandfather. He's words of wisdom.
Definitely, and like I said, hopefully one day you'll get to perform in Canada or Ontario when things get better. Hopefully in the next few months.
I would love that. Love it.
Okay, and everybody can check you out on social media and check out your website at jayhewlett.com. And you can check them out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not on TikTok either, so yeah. I probably should get on there.
Real Jay Hewlett, and I thank you, folks. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Jay, so much, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks. Okay. Anyways, everybody, thank you all for watching 30 Minutes Live with CDP tonight. I want to say thank you to Jay Hewlett for giving me an hour and a half of his time coming on here. I hope you guys really enjoyed the interview with Jay. He's been in the profession for a long time. And like I said, really appreciate him coming on. I thought it was great. I learned a lot about behind the scenes of being a stand-up comedian. So, but anyways, guys, like I said, I do have a show for tomorrow night, which is Saturday, April 10th. Hard to believe it's Saturday, April 10th at 7 o'clock. And my guest will be, just one second, I'm going to put them on here in a second. My guest will be for tomorrow night's show. I've already promoted this. And I will just try to get them on here. Guys, just bear with me. Sometimes I get so much stuff on here. There's going to be my guest for tomorrow night. This will be Missy Hyatt. Yeah, Missy Hyatt, the first lady of professional wrestling, pro wrestling valet, wrestler, and a commentator. And Missy Hyatt was part of the golden era of wrestling in the 1980s and 90s with WCW, WWF back then, ECW. So she was in the golden era with Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Sting, The Ultimate Warrior, and stuff like that era of wrestling. So I hope everybody can come on and watch 30 Minutes Live with CDP tomorrow at 7 Eastern, 4 on the West Coast. And I look forward to talking to Missy Hyatt, the first lady of pro wrestling. She's had quite a career in the wrestling industry, so I'm looking forward to it. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. But I want to really appreciate everybody watching my podcast. Please send me comments and let me know how you enjoyed the show tonight. I'm just going to post one comment on here. And Mr. Mark Richardson, great, funny guest. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, please feel free to follow Jay Hewlett on his website. It is the real jayhewlett.com website. And you can follow him on his social media. But Mark, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And like I said, guys, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's show with Missy Hyatt, formerly of the WCW and back then the WWF. So, anyways, guys, we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 on the West Coast time with Missy Hyatt. Thanks again for watching 30 Minutes Live with CDP, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Good night. And once again, thank you everybody for watching 30 Minutes Live with CDP.